From an employer's perspective, I wanted to share a step-by-step guide into first getting an interview, and then once you're in that interview, making the most of the opportunity. We're in the middle of doing interviews, and I wanted to share some of the kind of bits of feedback, bits of advice. So if you're in the middle of interviewing, you can watch this and hopefully take a few tips from it. So first thing is when you're getting in touch. I think little things like your email address that you reach out on behalf of is so important. So if, for example, sake, it's Jamie Kickass Dude 1234, that's a little bit cringy. Perhaps jamiewhitework@gmail.com or something like that might work a little bit better. The second thing is your profile photo. So again, that's what pops up when we get a mail in. So think about that profile photo. Does it do you justice? Is it reflective of you as a person? Is it clean cut? It's worth a thought. Second thing is the email. Expressing an interest in a really positive fashion is nice and complimentary. It's good to read. Similarly speaking, expressing some knowledge of the company is key. So that doesn't mean you have to have followed it. A quick little browse on their social media will tell you a little bit of a story, and it'll lead to a nice introduction. So for ourselves, we celebrated a birthday here last week. We put it up on social media. If somebody said, to whom it might concern, I'd like to inquire about your account management position that you're hiring for. Having looked at your social media and seeing the way you celebrate birthdays, God, I'd love to be in an environment that appreciates its staff as much as yours. Something so simple like that is immediately personal. It shows that you have a grasp of the business, and it makes it very, very hard to look over or away from it. I don't think the first thing to do is send through a CV or anything. I think the first is to get a bit of traction from the person. So that quick kind of one-liner that highlights the interest you have and the amount that you've seen the business is very, very key. From there, I think there's like a hurricane coming down the stairs beside me. From there, the response is more than likely going to be, look, thank you so much for expressing interest. Could you send us through your CV so we can have a look? It's an interesting thing about CVs. Everybody thinks you should follow a template. The fact of the matter is that you're just trying to instill confidence and highlight your value. So you don't necessarily need to follow a specific template. I think a kind of a summary is very, very key. A brief history in terms of a calendar of the roles that you've had, some of the bullet points in terms of the experience, and actually 2 testimonials. You can pull them off your LinkedIn, or else you can ask previous employers for them. And you're only talking I think this should literally be on one single A4 sheet. And the information should be bullet pointed and should be straight to the point, because when you're going through 20 or 30 or 40 applications, you fly through it. So presenting your best information, not diluted down with just random nonsense, but just your best information in short and to the point fashion, I think is absolutely key. If you're a creative, having a portfolio of work attached to your CV is absolutely key. And again, on that, you don't necessarily need to show your life's work. Just 2 or 3 or 4 relevant pieces specific to the role that you're going for is really, really, really valuable. Now, getting the interview. If you've done yourself justice in terms of your initial note via email and then your follow-up CV and your portfolio if necessary, you'll get yourself an interview. In the interview, people put a lot of emphasis in terms of how you look, your presentation. As long as you're in any way smartly presented, you're fine. If it's neutral, again, fine. If you kind of real extreme personalities or anything like that, to be fair, if that's you, you're better off showing it and putting that front and center and be very proud of who you are, and that if they don't appreciate it, the job's not for you if you're that way. But for me, I go into it quite neutrally. And I wouldn't look at the interview as a one-way process, as in them asking you all the questions. I would ask them the questions. I would put it back on them. Like the first role, so tell me about the role. It's not, some people kind of think it's a given that they should know everything about the role. Fact is, you're not from a job posting. So the first question you got going in and saying, look, tell me about the role, I think is good. It puts the interviewee, or interviewer, sorry, it puts them a bit in the spotlight. And it puts them slightly in a frame where they kind of have to sell the role to yourself. I think it's really, really important to say, look, you know, what kind of compensation package are you looking at here? And being front and center about the money, because so many interviews that we've had, they don't bring it up, and we forcibly bring it up at the end. But I think showing that you're strong and confident talking about money is a really, really key thing. And again, it instills confidence. Asking about, look, once you've understood the role, saying, look, I understand this is the role for now, but growing further from there, where do you see things going for me over the coming months and years? Now, an interviewer might be like, whoa, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but I think you're perfectly entitled to know the kind of environment you're coming into and the growth opportunities. And then asking about the business. So tell me more about the business. How did it start? What are the challenges you've had to date? Where do you see things going over the next few months, years? All of those questions, put it back onto the interviewer, but give you a huge amount of information to see whether or not the job is for you. And I honestly think that if you're interviewing for a job, that's what's most important. You seeing if the environment is right for you, if the job is right for you, if it's growing in the right direction for you. If it is, and if it plays to all your strengths, then the business is going to be right. Then the business is going to be lucky to have you. Long and short of it, if you're coming into an environment that you're going to thrive, if you aren't where you need to be, you'll grow really, really fast and you'll learn really, really fast, and the business will do really, really well with you. But I think you summing all that up is really, really, really important as a first. So those are my kind of simple tips. I think if you follow them, I think you'll find yourself in a really, really nice position. On the money side of things, it's so important you know the value you can bring to an organization versus your cost. So it needs to be relative. You need to be able to bring considerably more value to the organization than you're going to cost. If you're looking for experience and mentorship from them, then you need to frustratingly knock that off your salary expectation, because you're looking for something more from them. It's not a simple transaction of you're bringing in this, so you want to pull that out. You're coming in, you want training, you want mentorship, you want support. That comes at a cost. So look at the value you bring to the organization versus the cost, and put that in parity to where you want your salary to be. Is that fair?